Hey guys, it's Chris. From great yet weird acts of human ability to some of the most random records ever, join me as I show you 12 of the craziest world records of all time. Number 12. Most piercings on a person. Oftentimes, a record is set when a person puts their body through ordeals that can't or shouldn't be matched. So if you've ever wondered what it would take to get the world record for having numerous piercings on your body, you'd need to look at Rolf Buchholz, because this is the guy who thought it would be good to get 453 piercings on his body. Ouch! As you can see, a vast majority of them are through his head, though it is likely he has some elsewhere too. How long it took him to get these piercings is unknown, but given the pain tolerance of the body, it likely took much longer than you'd expect. Number 11. Most parking tickets in a set period of time. For most drivers, the idea of getting a parking ticket is so scary that they'll do anything to get out of it. But for one Jenny Fitzgerald, she had to endure a long and painful process to get rid of parking tickets that she well and truly didn't deserve. This all happened in Chicago, Illinois, at O'Hare Airport back in 2009. At the time, Jenny had a boyfriend named Brandon Prevost, but they had a breakup, and apparently it was a bad one. So much so that Brandon decided to get revenge upon her, using a car that was registered under her name. Not that she knew that, of course. Rather, Prevost bought the car from her uncle, registered it under her name, and then left it abandoned at O'Hare Airport where she worked. Not knowing it was there, it started to get parking tickets starting in November of 2009, and they continued to build up until finally it had 678 parking tickets for a total fine of $106,000, by which time 3 whole years had passed. Many are curious to the fact that the car was not towed anywhere in that time period. Because of all the fines that Fitzgerald was eventually made aware of, she not only had to pay the fine, but also lost her license, as too many parking tickets is a license revoking offense. However, despite all the fines, once the story of how the car came to be there was made clear to the city of Chicago, she was only given a small fine, and her ex was forced to help pay it back, and she was given her driver's license back. Number 10. Largest rubber band ball. If you were to travel across the world, you'd eventually pass by a town with the world's largest something or other. And at times, it's a sham. But when Joe Wall decided to make the world's largest rubber band ball, well, he did it and then some. Because while he may have just started out in his driveway in Lauderhill, Florida, the ball eventually grew into a massive size, as it eventually contained over 700,000 rubber bands total. This is a true Guinness World Record, and it was actually measured during Guinness World Records Day back in 2008. In terms of measurements, the ball is 6 feet 7 inches tall and weighs over 9,000 pounds. As for where the ball of rubber bands is right now, well, Joel no longer has it. Not that he destroyed it, far from it, but it's now owned by Ripley's Believe It or Not. Number 9. Largest commercially available hamburger. There are a lot of food competitions that take place within restaurants. Oftentimes, it's to see who can eat a massive amount of food in a short period of time. But sometimes, they just offer a massive piece of food, like in Juicy's Outlaw Grill in Corvallis, Oregon. Because it is here that the Guinness World Record for the largest commercially available hamburger can be found. They have a hamburger you can full-on order off the menu, and it weighs an incredible 777 pounds. And it would also cost $5,000 if you want to order it. And in fact, it takes so long to make it that you have to order it 2 days ahead of time so they have enough time to make sure it's ready to eat. And now for number 8. But first, what's the world record you would want to beat? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to World List if you haven't already. Number 8. Longest car. When you think about the lengths of certain cars and vehicles, they usually correlate to either the brand making them or the intent of the vehicle itself, like a truck having a long bed in order to carry various things. However, for Jay Orberg, when he made his limo to be 100 feet long, the only goal he had aside from trying to look cool was to make a Guinness World Record, and he succeeded in that attempt. The record itself was set all the way back in 1986, which means that record has stood tall for over 30 years. To be clear, it is a fully functional limo, but it's so long it kinda needed some other things to make it work overall. such as needing more than 4 tires. In fact, it needs 26 to keep going, and they're positioned not just in the front and back of the limo, but in the middle as well. Also, you can be inside the limo as it drives you around. And it's so spacious that you'll find a swimming pool, a waterbed, and even a helipad. Number 7. Most hula hooping in a single venue. Sometimes the world record you see isn't just a unique setting or event. It's about the number of people who are doing this activity, such as when 4,183 people came to Thammasat University Stadium on the outskirts of Bangkok and decided to hula hoop together all at once. To be clear, the record wasn't just about the people there, but the people doing it and doing it continuously. In fact, some people were disqualified from the event because they didn't adhere to the rules of the record. By the end of it, the 4,183 people did hula hooping all at once for 2 straight minutes, which isn't as easy as it may sound. Number 6. Most mileage on a car. Irvin Gordon's 1966 Volvo P1800S was without a doubt one of the most unique cars on the planet. Mainly because it did something that no car person thought was possible: get 3 million miles of travel on a single car. To be clear, he already had the Guinness World Record for mileage on a car, but he just kept going with it and wanted to keep it going no matter what. "It's just a car I enjoy driving," he said. To put this into perspective for you, if you were able to drive a car around the globe in a straight line, you would need to go 1,176 times across the globe to reach the 3 million mile mark on your car. The fact that the car was able to reach a fraction of that is astounding, because usually cars break down by the 200,000 mark or the 300,000 mark due to various wear and tear on the vehicle. But not only did his car not do that, he kept it in such great shape to continue no matter what. As for why he has 3 million miles, Gordon notes that he just loves to drive, and he does it well into his 70s. "I am my own travel channel," he says. Number 5. Longest time spent in direct full-body contact with snow. For most people, trying to keep your bare body out of the snow and cold is essential to survival, as long-term exposure can lead to a host of health effects that can eventually lead to death. But that didn't stop one Chinese man named Jin Song Hao from going 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 10 seconds in snow to set a record for the longest time spent in direct full-body contact with snow. Just so you know, the definition of direct full-body contact is to have the bulk of your body immersed in snow so you can feel its full effects. So he was in the snow without a shirt or pants on and was able to survive for nearly 2 hours. What might be even more shocking was that he did this on live TV during a special for world records. What's more, he previously held the record at just above 46 minutes in 2011. But that got beat a few years later, and thus he returned to get the record back for himself. Number 4. Most concrete blocks broken while holding a raw egg. Definitely one of the more random world records out there, but this is one that's about skill and technique above all else. For despite what people tell you, it's easy to break concrete blocks as long as you know the right form and technique. But breaking those blocks while holding something as delicate as a raw egg is, well, that's something else entirely. And yet, in October 2015, a man named Kevin Bergquist was able to not just break some with an egg in his hand, well, he did it with 28 blocks, breaking the previous record by 4. Number 3. Most countries visited by car in 24 hours. Most countries visited by car in 24 hours. The idea of traveling across the world in a car is something that many feel they'll do over time. But for Gunnar Garfors, Taeyong Pak, and Øystein Djupvik, they decided that they were going to cut out the middleman, go for as many countries as they could in one single day. Over the course of 24 hours, they reached an astounding 19 different countries across Asia and Europe. And when they reached each country, they stepped out of the car and took a picture to show that they'd made it. That broke the previous record to which 18 countries had been visited in one day. And I don't know about you, but I need to wonder what would have to be done in order to reach 20 or more in a 24-hour time frame. The countries they've visited on their massive road trip include Bulgaria, Kosovo, Macedonia, Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Austria, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, France, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. Number 2. Skateboarding downhill. Skateboarding sometimes gets a bad rap for not being a true sport. However, anyone who has gotten onto a skateboard knows that it takes true skill to wield it, especially when you're going downhill. Going downhill on a skateboard is very dangerous, and the faster you go, the more prone to injuries you're likely to take. But in 2016, professional skateboarder Kyle Wester went to an undisclosed location out in Colorado and attempted to beat the world record for fastest speed ever recorded for a skateboard. And he did it. He went downhill at that location at an astounding 89.41 miles per hour. And after he got the world record, he noted that he's already shooting for an even better record. This is just the beginning. Wester, who skates for Santa Cruz Skateboards, told Grind TV, "I'm hoping in my lifetime I'll be able to get to 100 miles an hour unassisted just by kicking onto a hill." Number 1. Most bees put onto a person. The art of putting bees on your body and keeping them alive has led to many world records by various people, but Run Liang Ming of China decided to go for the max by having 637,000 of them put on his body during a live show in China. As the rules state, it's not just about getting the bugs on you, it's about keeping them alive on you. The challenger must keep calm when dealing with bees. Bees will die once they sting you, so they usually avoid stinging unless they think you're threatening them. If you notice bees are in an unsteady mood, you need to figure out the reason quickly or stop the record attempt. And he did set the record, which meant he had 140 pounds of bees on him while he attempted it. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these crazy world records? Which of these do you think is the craziest of the bunch? Do you know of any other world records that are just as crazy? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on World List.